Everything's
No,
good.
I'm just soaking it in right now.
Yes. I got my girls here. I got my girls back here. And we've got two more.
Beautiful squad.
Two more coming.
Beautiful women.
Yeah, there you go. That's it.
So what's happening
We didn't
now?
want to upstage the stars.
And good morning, everyone, and thank you very, very much from all of us here at Unity of Boerne. Glad you could join us, and we are ready to go this morning. On behalf of all of us here in the sanctuary, Reverend Jay Mulkey, who's getting a day off finally, but we have a double blessing in that we have Reverend Jeanie King with us today, who is well known in our region. And she's just a special person. She's got a very special message. I'm not going to give it away. So thank you for being with us. Be aware that someplace on your page as you're watching us, there is a place for you to hit a PayPal button and do a donation. And I believe it says PayPal on the button. But it may say donate as well. So by all means, whatever you feel you can give, and the message has a value for you, please go use thoughts like that to guide your donation today, and we appreciate you very much. So in just a few minutes we're going to get started, and thank you for being with us once again. Welcome to Unity of Boerne.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nancy Sorenson. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Nancy. It's lovely to see you all here. This is my first time to be here. I want to be forgiven of any goof-ups that I might make. So we're glad to have Dana Clark and Tbow providing our music today. And please stand as we sing the joy song. 112, number 112, Living Abundantly.
It's actually 111.
Okay.
There's a misprint.
Okay, let's get those anymore anyway. Let's sing this one, Living Abundantly.
Thank you.
Living abundantly, living with power, living with truth every day, every hour. Listening to Spirit, my way is revealed. Moment by moment, oh Lord, I am healed. Moment by moment, I live in God's light. Moment by moment, I'm guided aright. Ever renewing my body and soul. Moment by moment, oh Lord, I am whole. Proving the law as I do God's good will. Proving the promise that faith can fulfill. Praying for wisdom in all that I do. Moment by moment, I'm one Lord with you. Moment by moment, I live in God's light. Moment by moment, I'm guided aright. Ever renewed in my body and soul. Moment by moment, oh Lord, I am home.
Thank you. Please be seated. If this is your first time here, would you please stand and tell us your first name so that we can welcome and celebrate with you today?
Got special people here today?
We have first timers.
We have a lot of first timers.
We have visitors, first timers.
Oh, is
They've been
this?
here before. So, does anyone who's visiting for a special time today? Would you like to introduce yourself?
Stand up, Donna. Hi, I'm Donna Powers, and I work with Jeanie. We had a great time.
Welcome.
Yeah, we had a good time.
Jeanie,
Hi, I'm Liz Halvin, and I came with my husband, and we know Jeanie.
okay, you're next.
I'm too sleepy. Let's do it later.
Inside your bulletin, you will find a prayer request form for any prayer requests you may have. You can drop them in the box as it goes by later, or put them in after the service. Our own prayer team prays over them for a week, and then they are sent to Silent Unity, where they are prayed over for a month. Today, Reverend Jeanie B. King served as senior minister of Unity at Richardson for 8 years and now lives in the Texas Hill Country. Jeanie and co-founder Cindy Jordan host women's retreats with an upcoming Retreat at Sea cruise in November. They will also upload a weekly coffee chat videos, which are fun, far-ranging, and informative. You can find the information on thebeautifulnetworkofwomen.com. Remember to we reuse the jackets from your service folder throughout the month. Most of the current information is printed on the insert, and you're welcome to take that with you, but please leave the jackets. We are always collecting dry goods, toiletries, etc. to pass on to various Boerne groups to help those in need. So there's a container at the front door each week, and you can put in any donations.
Fill it up.
Let's fill it up. Good idea. Okay. And please join us for lunch after the service at El Rio. If you want to join us and have not told Ann King, do so after church so we can adjust the number of those reserved. If you are a member and did not receive a copy of our membership manual, please talk to Kathy Brown, and she will supply you with one. They're beautifully done. Yes. Let's see. On Sunday mornings, we have a book discussion at 9:30 to 10:30 in the fellowship room. Come for coffee, tea, and a stimulating conversation. There were 13 people there today, and the book that is being studied is Co-Creating at Its Best, a conversation with master teachers Wayne Dyer and Esther Hicks. Join us anytime. You can order the book from Amazon. And let's see, if you're here for the first time, and if you're not getting weekly emails, we have a sign-in sheet on the desk by the front door. If you leave your name and email address, you'll be on the list to receive newsletters, weekly announcements about the upcoming Sunday service, and occasional reminders and special notices. If you've been attending and you aren't getting notices, put your name down again. You can unsubscribe at any time. Also, we're encouraging everyone to start wearing name tags since we have newer people in the attending. We have several ongoing activities via Zoom. They're listed in the order of service with login information, and you're welcome to take it with you when you leave. They include the book study on Jesus, my autobiography, Monday evening, Course in Miracles on Wednesday evening, and Pathlighters on Thursday evening. You can also find the info and links on our Facebook page, unityofboerne.org. Now we will have the daily word read by Pat Parton.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As we quietly and gently prepare for the reading of the daily word, we remember that we are in spirit with millions of daily word readers in churches throughout the world. The Christ candle is lit as a reminder of the Spirit of God within all of us. which we call the Christ within. The daily word today is timeless. The affirmation is, in timeless moments in silence, I discover myself anew. I relax and let go, withdrawing my attention from my surroundings. Breathing deeply and rhythmically, my mind relaxes and my heart opens. I enter my sacred inner sanctuary. Here, I have no awareness of time. I hear no words. I think no thoughts. I feel no separation. There is only the richness of silence, the awesome presence of infinite life, love, and wisdom. I am one with this presence. The time and attention I devote to my regular practice of meditation builds deep, abiding peace and clarity in my consciousness. In these timeless moments, I discover I have all I need: enough strength, understanding, love, and time to progress along my path and accomplish all that is mine to do. The Bible verse today is from Revelation chapter 21, verse 1. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth. The first heaven and the first earth had passed away. And again, the affirmation, and if you feel comfortable, if you'd say these words with me, I invite you to. In timeless moments of silence, I discover myself anew. Thank you. My name is Parton, and thank you for worshiping with Unity of Boerne.
Thank you, Pat.
So please stand for the miracle moment, number 147, Hope of Glory. Christ is the light of my mind.
Illumined are my thoughts. Christ is the love of my heart. Compassionate are my words. Christ is the strength of my hands. Helpful are my deeds. Christ is the power of my legs. Effortlessly I walk his path. Christ is the understanding of my eyes. Pure is my vision. Christ in me my all. Christ in all I see.
Please remain standing for the celebration song, Open My Eyes That I May See.
Open my eyes that I may see glimpses of truth thou hast for me. Place in my hands the wonderful key that shall unclasp and set me free. Silently now I wait for thee, ready, my God, thy will to see. Open my eyes, illumine me, Spirit
please remain standing for our opening prayer. Together.
Unity of Boerne is a vibrant, loving, spiritual community, providing a sacred space for personal growth. We honor and celebrate the Christ within all people.
Thank you. Please be seated. We will now have the blessing of prayer requests. And who will bring up the prayer box? Okay.
Thank you, Nancy. I always love this story. At my church in Richardson many years ago, someone had talked about writing out a prayer request and sending it in, mailing it in at that time to Silent Unity. And they said, oh, I just feel so much better knowing that they're praying for us. And the next Sunday she came up and she said, you know what? I never mailed it. I said, well, God got it anyhow. What I would like for you to do is to think about someone in your life that needs prayer and encouragement. And just, if you have not filled out a form, it doesn't matter. Just put it in your mind and in this box. Just take in a deep breath. Always loving God, we know that you hear the cries of our heart before we even say them. We know that we are one with the source. And we are all that is in human form. We lift up these people who need prayer. I also like to extend our prayers out into the city of Boerne, into the state of Texas, into the whole of the United States and the world. We especially reach out to those who are suffering, people who are in jail, people who are homeless, people who are sick. And we ask that they have a sense and an epiphany of God's loving presence and healing in this moment. And we are grateful. Thank you, Always Loving God. And I think I may, am I supposed to do it?
We have a special music.
Oh, great.
That night goes back on by candles back there.
So we have special music now by Dana and Tbow, and they'll play People Get Ready. We'll sing it platform.
People get ready, there's a train coming. Don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is faith, you hear the diesel humming. Don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord. People get ready, there's a train, Jordan, picking up passengers from coast to coast. Faith is the key, you open the door and board them. There's hope from all, among those who love the most. There is no room for the hope. There will be best to do. On helping hands, now the time will start it. When we open up our eyes and see the promised land. People get ready, there's a train coming.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
We can go home now. Wasn't that good? Yeah. So congratulations, everyone who got up and dealt with your clocks this morning. I was telling someone, we have in our bedroom a clock that is projected onto the ceiling. So it never occurred to me that Joe would actually change that clock last night. So my eyes flew open at 4:34 this morning, and I went, oh no, it's already 5:34. Well, no, I got up, it was 3:34. Okay, but we're here. It's so good to be back here at Unity of Boerne, and I'm so glad to see my friends and people who have come here in the congregation. My topic is a little bit controversial today. The topic is trading your wishbone for a backbone and looking fearlessly at the times that are documented that Jesus used anger and frustration to get the good results that he wanted. So strap yourself in. Let me ask you a few questions to contemplate this morning. How many people here have ever worked with a vision board? Okay. So, and I used to do vision board workshops and stuff, and you figure out what you want, and then you put your pictures and words and stuff. But how many here have ever worked with a vision board and not gotten the results that you wanted? Yeah, honestly, sometimes we haven't. And so we're going to talk about that. Because oftentimes we are just wishing, hoping, and praying that something's going to change. We don't realize that we actually have the power to do that. How many here have ever felt that it was hard to say no to other people without an explanation or an excuse? Yeah. And why do we do that? We do that because we are afraid they won't like us, that they'll judge us, and that we have to make up a story about it. And I got to tell you, you're safe from me, okay? Because first of all, I have no problem saying no, especially after this last year. I spent 7 months in and out of a hospital getting surgery and almost died. And the doctor said to me, he said, and it was diverticulitis, it's not cancer or anything. Lillian, get in here. One of our other girls. But he said, you were such a mess when I opened you up. I took one look and almost closed you back up again. I went, oh, you didn't do that. But I got to tell you, when you've been through something like that, it changes you. It just changes you. And I realize that life is so precious that I don't have time to mess around. You know, and my husband's going like, what the heck did you do with my wife? She used to be so sweet. And I was like, yeah, not anymore. And how many people here besides me have ever had to choke down your frustration and stop yourself from saying what you really thought? Oh, yeah. Yeah, never. Yeah, never. Yeah, me neither, but I heard about you. It's so funny because I have a friend in Dallas and some people that used to go to my church, and he used to get out on the freeways in Dallas, and he would get so frustrated, and he would call them, that jerk child of God. Yeah. But really, what the problem is, many times, is we've been taught not to expect too much. Why can't you just be happy with what you've got? You know, maybe God doesn't want you to have that. Maybe this, maybe that. And, you know, just settle down. Just be happy and don't say what you really want. And yet, that is not how it works. It is not how it works. We get to decide. We get to say what it is that we want, and we get to focus on it. But if we are focusing on something we don't want, it's going to show up. We recently redid our winery as a home, and we're moved in. And I was working with my designer, and she said, you know, well, what do you want? And I said, Molly, I have no idea what I want, but I can tell you for sure what I don't want. And she said, that is a great place to start. I I moved from Dallas. We lived at the ranch. It was all Texas Hill Country stuff. Sold that. We bought another house. It was all Texas Hill Country. And I don't want any more Texas Hill Country. I'm done. And she said, that is perfect. So I went on house.com and I said, what is my house style? And it turns out that it's French country, which totally makes sense. And so, if you're not getting what you want, or if you don't like what you have, you can look at it and go, I don't want that anymore. I just don't want that anymore. Well, what do you want? Figure it out and move in that direction. When I got sick, and I'm never sick, and I ignored myself for over a year. I wasn't able to eat. I lost 40-something pounds, which is the hard way to do it. Don't do it. That's not a good diet. But, and I'm not blaming my husband. This is on me, but for the past 15 years, he's had one little thing after another, and, it's nothing. But, so I was like Hiawatha, what's next? What's next? And I just ignored myself. And I ended up in the emergency room with a surgeon I'd never met before, who is absolutely a godsend. And they vacuumed me out. They took part of my colon, they took my fallopian tube, my ovary, and just for the heck of it, they took the appendix. But I had 4 big abscesses on my intestines. And my doctor and the other nurses and doctors said, you do know that many people die from having 1 abscess. And I said, I didn't know that, but I can tell you this, I'm not dying. I'm just not. And we can decide or not decide. And I just said, One of the things that I did, and I was pretty grateful, and I had some magical experiences with doctors and nurses there that cried and, were touched, and I cried. And, but I has anyone here ever had that nasty thing called an NG tube? It's a nasal gastric tube that goes down your nose and into your belly. Well, they suck out all the bad stuff, and it hurts like a big dog. And I had it 3 times. At the last 2 times, it kept falling out on its own, and my doctor finally said, come on, you can level with me. Are you pulling that out? And I went, no, I'm really not. And they said, well, you need to have it again. And I just looked down and I said, nope. Well, what do you mean, no? And I said, no, it's my body. It hurts too bad. But I'll tell you, if you tell me I have to have it, I'll let you do it, but you have to sedate me. And they're like, really? And I said, yeah, those are my rules. You have to sedate me. Well, guess what? I didn't have to have that. It was really interesting to see how all of that happened. So I want to talk about, we often think about Jesus being the epitome, and he is, of healing and love and compassion. But, and oftentimes we even have bracelets that say, WWJD, what would Jesus do? At least 5 documented times in the Bible that he used anger and frustration to get the results that he wanted. And we don't talk about that too much because it's all like love and light. But the one thing that I remember is that he got so angry at the Pharisees who were in the synagogue, in the temple, and they were prioritizing religious ritual over spiritual principles. And there was a man in there, he was a stonemason. The story goes that he had had his hand crushed in an industrial accident. They didn't have workers' comp back then. And he was there and was asking Jesus for healing. And it was on the Sabbath, it was on a Saturday, and boy, the Pharisees were just licking their chops. They couldn't wait to catch Jesus doing something wrong. And he looked at them and he said, what is the best thing to do? To deal with love and healing, or to just follow ritual? And you know what they said? They didn't say anything, because they knew. And so he reached out his hand and he said, you are healed. And he was healed. But he was so mad. And it says here, and I want to read this because this is really interesting. The word that is used, and this comes from Mark chapter 3, verse 4. Jesus was triggered. Temptations. He was bitter to tears by their lack of love for a hurting human, all the while saying that they are claiming to worship God in the synagogue. Jesus stared them down, and he defiantly claimed that the man was healed, and he was. Another time that Jesus got mad is when he was out speaking to the multitudes, and there were people all over the place. And there were parents there with children, and they wanted their children to go up there and be blessed by Jesus. But they, the security guards, the disciples were very vigilant, and they were like, no, he's preaching the gospel. And Jesus got mad. They were barricading these people. And when he saw what was happening, he became indignant. Now, what I want you to realize is that word, as it translates from the Greek, in the Greek, it means to shudder or to quiver. That's how mad he was. If you've ever seen a big old guy in a bar anywhere, just shivering and quivering, don't mess with him. Because seriously, he's mad. And Jesus said, and I want to read this to you, he said, "Let the little children come to me, and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of God belongs to such as these. Truly, I tell you, anyone who will not receive the kingdom of God like a little child will never enter it." And he took the children in his arms, and he placed his hands on their heads, and he blessed them. That's from Mark chapter 10, verse 14. What made Jesus shudder was the idea that the little ones with the most faith were being treated like second-class citizens in the kingdom of God, and to him, unacceptable. There is a well-known story, in fact it happens twice, the cleansing of the temple. You probably remember this story. Jesus enters the temple and he sees all the merchants set up, profiteering from the pious pilgrims. And the Bible doesn't actually say if he was angry, but it's a pretty good assumption because he took some things and some cords and turned it into whips. And he started whipping them and turning the tables over. I would say he was mad. It happened twice. Once at the beginning of his ministry, which is told in John chapter 2. And also it's told in 3 different books the Monday of the last week of his ministry. Matthew 21st, Mark 11, and Luke 21st. You see, Jesus showed his cards when he was quoting some passages from the Old Testament, the Torah. And in the scripture, it says, "My house will be called a house of prayer, but you are making it a den of robbers." Notice this single sentence quotes 2 Old Testament passages, one in Isaiah 56:7 and Jeremiah 7:11. And if you look into the context of this, the threats against these people in the temple wasn't just about monetizing the whole worship process, which they were doing, but also the worst part that really set him off is that it was all set up in the outer courtyard where the Gentiles came. They were not allowed to come worship God in the temple, but they were good enough for these people to profit off of them. And that just sent Jesus right over the edge. He was also mad about sickness and death. Now, it's so interesting because there is some form of the word anger used in these stories, but there's one where a leper runs up to Jesus begging for a healing. And it says Jesus was indignant. He was not mad at this leper, and he was not mad at any one particular person. He was mad at the idea of disease. He knew that we don't have to live with disease. He knew that. And so the leper stretched out his hand, and Jesus touched it and said, "I have heard you, you are healed." And he was. He also was mad about death. It talks about in John 11:33. And he was at the edge of a dear friend's grave, and it says that Jesus was deeply moved. It says this is an intense feeling of indignation. He was mad about the idea of death. Jesus cares for people more than he cares about what's going on in our outer experiences. Anybody who comes between Jesus and the people he loves is going to experience that wrath. Does it ever just set you off when you see somebody doing something that you don't want them to do? Right? Yeah. But Neville Goddard, who was a wonderful teacher from Barbados in the mid-century, last century, he said that your world and others are you pushed out. It's what you believe. Your world is what you believe and what you see. It is you pushed out. Jesus lived with no disease, no poverty, and that's a whole nother story. Jesus was not poor, just so you know. But, you know, we oftentimes look at our circumstances, and we look at what people, others are doing, and we have to look at ourselves and go, what am I doing? What am I thinking? What am I saying? How does this relate to us in our lives? Has anyone ever been told, you know, nobody likes an angry person? Oh, here's one. Smile! You just want to slap the snot out of them, right? If you're down there, you're like, oh, yeah, I don't think so. Have you ever been told when you were growing up, you want something to cry about? I'll give you something to cry about. Oh, yeah, I've never heard that. Yeah. Get that look off your face. It's so ugly. What if it freezes that way? Suck it up, buttercup. Right? I mean, don't you just want to go? That sends me over the edge. And yet, I have to say, there is something very powerful about anger. Now, I happen to overhear that you all are studying an Abraham book in there. Okay, Abraham Hicks. Abraham Hicks, in their first book, which is Ask and It Is Given, have an emotional scale, and it's about 20 different emotions. And it starts at the bottom with depression and apathy, which are inert. And it goes up to, you know, awareness and, you know, a little bit of hope, and, you know, it goes up the scale. At the very top of the scale is ecstasy. And what Abraham says, you cannot leap from this apathy and depression to ecstasy, or the opposite way. You can't go from an ecstatic feeling down to apathy and depression. But what you can do, if you are in that inert state of apathy and depression, one of the strongest, biggest leaps that you can make is using anger, because it is powerful and it is active. I like to tell my coaching clients that anger can be used correctly, and it is like the booster rocket on the space shuttle that pushes it out between the Earth and the edge of the stratosphere, and the gravitational pull. And here's the thing. Once you're past that gravitational pull, you have to jettison that booster rocket. You have to let go of the anger, because it's going to knock you off course every time. So if you've ever gotten angry and then you feel guilty, you know, oh, I shouldn't be angry at that, you know, I should, whatever. I don't know about you, but I'm going to use every tool in my toolbox. We are born with all of these emotions. We are born with all of this ability. And if it takes anger, so be it. I'm serious. You know, I got angry finally about being sick. I didn't eat for almost a year, you know, without something coming back. It was scary. But I made up my mind. I'm getting well. I've told you this story before. Eric Butterworth, who was a big Unity minister in Manhattan. And he and his wife were going to Europe for a couple of weeks. And they had a housekeeper. But before they left, the help of God, and anyhow, this whole thing, and he gave it to the housekeeper, and he said, say this every day, and this is going to help you with your healing. Well, they came back in a couple of weeks, and she was better. And he said, how are you feeling? She said, I feel great. And he said, I am so happy that I could help you with that affirmation. She looked at him and she said, you know what, Dr. Butterworth, I got to be honest with you. As soon as you left, I lost that piece of paper. And I walked around the apartment just saying, oh, hell, I'm well. I love that story. Oh, yeah. And I was saying that in the hospital. My biggest problem was they put you in those hospital gowns. I mean, seriously, they're like that nasty colored green, and they're all, shapeless. I look like death eating a cracker in that. But when you think about where we are emotionally, Jim Carrey, the actor Jim Carrey, really went through his own problems, and he talks about having this depression, and he said, it led me to God. It led me to God. And he said, the more I thought about the word depressed, I changed it into what the antidote is, deep rest. Depressed. If you know someone or you yourself are depressed, go get some rest. As Neil Donald Walsh had said in his book that God spoke to him in conversations with God. God told him, he said, if you don't go within, you go without. If you don't go within, you go without. So if you are depressed, if you are apathetic, I urge you, just say, this is not acceptable. I'm not putting up with this nonsense anymore. I'm just not doing it. And when you put your stake in the ground and you decide what you want and you decide what you don't want, it has to come about. The Bible tells us, whatsoever things you ask, believing, will be done unto you. Well, that just hasn't been my experience. Really? What are you asking for? Well, I want this and that and abundance and stuff. But then what are you talking about? Well, I just can't. Have you seen the price of gasoline lately? I go to the grocery store, I can't even hardly afford it. And so, that's where you're racking it up. That's what you're asking for. And the universal mind of God says, look at what Jeanie's complaining about. Let's give her more of that. We cooperate with God. We co-create with God. We are part of the source. And when you snap to it that you are undermining yourself and you are creating what you say you don't want, stop it. Don't feel guilty. Just stop it. Let it go. Focus on what you want. And you can do this for other people too. I can't change the people in my life, but I can change the people in my life. In other words, if I'm hanging out with people who only, they're part of the BMW club. You've ever heard of that? It's not a car club. It's bitch, moan, and whine. Well, I'm not going to be around those people anymore. I'm just not. I'm not going to make them wrong, but I'm not going to be around them. So my word to you today is to take a stand. We wish, we hope, we just say that everything is wonderful. No, it's not wonderful, but it is wonderful. Okay? It was a terrible experience that I had last year, but it was the greatest experience of my life because I had huge swaths of time to get quiet and to really examine what I thought I wanted. And what my mind was saying, this little monkey mind, it's always saying, we say what we want, and then this little monkey mind goes, well, how's that going to happen? Right? How's that going to happen? Pull your head out of the clouds. Decide what you want, whatsoever things you want. And some people default to, well, maybe God just doesn't want me to have that. How many people here are parents? How many people here have had parents? Bingo. There is nothing a parent wouldn't do for you. There's nothing. And those of you who are fur baby parents, there's nothing that you wouldn't do for your little pets. Am I right? I'm right. You give them the best. Joe, I'm going to pull this up. Hold on just a second, because this is worth you knowing where it comes from. It's in Matthew, chapter 7, verses 9 through 11. It says, which of you, if your son asks for bread, will give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, will give him a snake? If you then, though you are evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father in heaven give good gifts to those who ask him? You know, one of my favorite little verses is so short, and it's James 4:2, and it says, you have not because you ask not. Right? You have not because you ask not. If you want it, speak up. Ask for it. And ask believing. And if you believe it's true, what do? You get it in your gratitude, your joy, and your feelings. And that's it. And it makes all the difference. I have to catch myself. You know, I've got this little chatter going on in my mind. And I just have to say, you don't get to play. You know, that's not how I'm going to live. So I encourage you to look at your life. I encourage you to see what it is that you want. And oftentimes you can do that by identifying what you don't want. I just don't want to live like this anymore. I have a friend who went through cancer, and then she ended up counseling cancer patients, did work with angels, but she said she opened her drawer in her bathroom one morning, and she said, I don't talk out loud to myself very often, but she said, I have all of these supplements because this one was going to do this, and that was going to do this, and that was going to do this, and that was going to do this, and I was taking all these supplements. And the underlying belief was, if I don't take this, the cancer comes back. She looked at that and she said, nope, I'm not doing this anymore. And I'm not doing cancer anymore. And she threw it all away. And guess what? She's fine. Now, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not a doctor. My husband's a doctor, but I'm not a doctor. But the point is, make up your own mind. Make a stand for yourself. Don't be afraid to say no. Don't be afraid to take a stand. Don't be afraid to move out of the wishing, hoping, and praying into the being, doing, and who you are. So we're going to go into meditation right now, and what I would invite you to do is, if it feels good, I'm sorry?
We do a little Shirley the Presence.
Sorry. That's what happens when I'm not here for a year.
In the midst of his children, the Lord said that he would be. It doesn't take very many. It can be just 2 or 3. And I feel the same sweet spirit that I felt all times before. Surely I can say I've been with His. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel His mighty power and His grace. There's a wind rush of angels' wings. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
So let's just settle ourselves. If it feels good, please put both feet on the ground. Empty your lap of everything except your hands. And just go into this receptive mode. You got lots of time the rest of the day to do everything that you need to do, but let's just be present, okay? And if it feels okay, take a deep breath and close your eyes. And make sure that you are fully. So I want you to breathe it in. And as you breathe out, let go of everything else that might be bothering you, painful, worrisome. Just let it go. Take in another deep responsiveness, compassion, and complete and utter love. I want you to do a quick scan of your body and thank every part of your body, from your head to your toes. This is the divine, priceless, self-healing vehicle that we get to roam around this earth in. I want you to bless your eyes and your ears and your nose and your mouth and your throat and your lungs and your bones and your shoulders and your arms and your abdomen, your hips, your legs, your knees, your feet. I want you to bless the entire body and know that you indeed are fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of God. And if you are willing in this moment, Jesus stands with hands outstretched. Come unto me, and I will give you rest. Come unto me and be healed. Come unto me and know who you are. And everything that you ask for, believing, will be done unto you. It's my promise to you. Let a feeling of relief wash over you. Feel the love and the peace and the joy. I want you to breathe in again and just be still for a moment. All things are possible, and all things are probable if we ask believing. So in this moment, always loving God, I ask for everyone who is here, as it is given. We ask believing, and we are grateful. So when you leave today, I want you to leave with this sense of joy. I want you to leave with this sense of oneness, confidence, and understanding into this time of togetherness. Thank you, Dana. Hallelujah. 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 I need guidance. What are we doing next?
It's an offertory and the usher
Oh,
comes
here we go.
forward.
Great.
But our usher that's, you got it? Okay. Our usher isn't here, so we need a different usher.
Okay, can we have, thank you, Todd.
Wait, is
Okay.
it?
The little baskets are underneath the podium.
Jeannie, keep the
there's
baskets
a
are in
little
the podium. Just
Little
one.
blue one.
If you're singing, I'll give more.
We have two? All right, we have two.
I'll catch up.
Freely I have received, freely I give. Divine love through me
give and receive.
Let's bless this together. Here's a blessing of the offering.
Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I send it forth with my blessings
And mine. Love can build a bridge.
Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time?
Don't you think
Now
we
let's
shine?
circle up and we'll sing our peace song. We'll hold hands. Squeegee in. Squeegee in. What a great group.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Before we go, thank you. I want to recognize my Be Now women who are here. Tisa, yeah. And what's your daughter's name? Fiona. And Lynn. And Lillian. And Nanette. Yeah. And then this is my friend Donna. So, anyhow. Yay! Are there any women here who did not get an envelope? Any women? This is our retreat. In fact, what ended up happening, the announcement said that we were having that cruise. What is it? Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing, but we went so, yeah. And so we're having a women's retreat. You can't go, you have to have a sex change, but you can give it that shut him right down.
Brenda's here.
Yay! Welcome back. We love you.
September 19th through 23rd.
And what do you think about that? That's how we do it. That's how we roll, as they say, here at Unity of Boerne. We have excellent leadership, excellent thought-provoking relationships within the group. It's so family. It's so you. It's so us. And we are all really part of the same family anyway, so why not come out and find out what it is that gets us to come in and be with each other in the very physical, the very present, at the same time as celebrating our spirituality and the commonality of our spirituality.